Hello and welcome to Daily Politics, reaching you from TrustTV here in Abuja. I am Suleiman. Today we discuss the report of the Lagos Judicial Panel into the EndSARS protest that rocked the country last year. On Monday this week, the panel submitted its reports on the Lekki shooting and police brutality during the October 2020 EndSARS protests. A summary of the report by the panel, headed by retired Justice Doris Okuwobi, said that 11 people died during that sad day in Nigerian history. 4 others were presumed dead, according to the report. 24 people sustained gunshot injuries, while 15 others were assaulted by soldiers and police officers. That puts the total casualty recorded at 48. According to the report. So today on this show, on Daily Politics Today, we ask, will this report bring closure? And what is the way forward for Nigeria, and especially for the young men and women whose frustrations were the expressions of EndSARS? I am joined today with 2 people who have seen it all in Nigeria. Malam Ilyas Ugadu is a diplomat, a columnist and a public affairs analyst, and Mr. Diran Onifade needs no introduction at all. He's a retired broadcaster and staff of the NTA. He has been a journalist for nearly 4 decades. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. But before we delve into the heart of the matter, we take a minute to bring you a roundup of politics in the news today. Stay with us.
The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has postponed the Northwest Zonal Congress of the party, earlier scheduled to hold on November 20. The party, in a statement issued by its National Organizing Secretary Colonel Austin Akavondo, retired in Abuja, said the NWC approved the postponement of the Congress after extensive consultations. Akabondo said the decision was predicated on certain unforeseen circumstances that would very likely affect the conduct of the Congress. The NWC urges all critical stakeholders, leaders and members of the party in the Northwest and across the country to take note as new dates would be announced in due course. A bill for an act to move the Code of Conduct Tribunal (CCT) from the executive to the judiciary in the Constitution passed the second reading at the House of Representatives on Thursday. The bill, sponsored by Solomon Bob, PDP Rivers, passed first reading at plenary on July 17, 2020. According to him, the amendment seeks to incorporate the Code of Conduct Tribunal among superior courts of record. After passing the second reading, Presiding Deputy Speaker of the House, Ahmed Wase, APC Plateau, forwarded the bill to the Ad Hoc Committee on Constitutional Amendment for further legislative actions. The State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Declan Emelumba, has said that the Imo State government has announced plans to launch a security outfit in the state on November 30. The commissioner made the disclosure while briefing newsmen after the State Executive Council meeting at the Government House of Owerri. Emelumba said that the outfit had become imperative as a result of the security situation in the state and that the outfit will be a combination of vigilance and community policing model. He also said that in view of the proactive manner in which the governor was addressing security challenges in the state, the council saw reasons to seek approval for more security funding from the State House of Assembly. According to him, this is to enable government deal with extra expenditure incurred as a result of insecurity in the state.
Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and now we get down to the discussion proper. Where do I start? Let me start with you, Mr. Diran Onifade. This report that the panel has released, and mind you, it's a judicial panel, has just released. What does it mean to the whole idea of EndSARS, and even more than that, to the whole idea of protesting in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you very much. And I must say that as we speak now, everything should be in the realm of opinion.
Okay.
You know, we don't know all the facts yet officially. So facts are sacred, as they say. Opinion is free. So, and the laws of Nigeria allows us to
Express
opinion. Okay. So, as it is now, what we have been dealing with out there in the public are just the leaked version. The draft is even being disputed that, okay, maybe this is not exactly it and things like that. The Lagos State government has set up a committee now to bring the white paper in 2 weeks. The trick in that is, look, if that white paper is going to be any different from what we are already discussing now, it's going to bring a whole lot of credibility issues. So we better start facing the issues as we know them now.
But doesn't it mean, if the government has set up a four-man panel to bring out a white paper, isn't that an endorsement of the current report? Meaning no any other report has been expected?
Well, the white paper may not be, the white paper is what the government accepts.
Okay.
Probably to some extent what they are going to do. I mean, it's the government's version,
okay,
which is the final version. So, but all the same, like I said, I don't expect the white paper will be any different from what we are already, because it's a sensitive issue. It's one thing for government to say, oh, this is our own version. It's another for the public to believe. And anything different from what is already out here now will have credibility issues. So it's better for government to start preparing how they are going to deal with elements of what we already know. And these things are, they are huge. They are huge. You are not even expecting that the panel will come up with such things based on the experience that we have in Nigeria. That's not the only panel, remember. This is just the Lagos State panel.
Yes.
That's a federal government panel.
Okay.
The one headed by Justice Galadima.
Okay.
They are still, they don't have a report yet. They didn't sit for quite a long time. Maybe they're back sitting now and things like that. So it's a sensitive issue, and I'm sure you are asking if this will bring a closure. It depends on how we deal with it.
Yeah, thank you. So, Maile Ilyasu, if it's a sensitive issue, do you think that this report has done justice to the sensitivity of the issue? At least the report that we have so far, and upon which the government has constituted a committee to give it a white paper on it.
Okay, well, my partner here talked about credibility issues. I think the credibility issues actually that already are in the public domain pertains to even the panel itself, because that's where we have to situate the credibility issues. Because first and foremost, this is a judicial commission which has the power of law.
Yes.
And it's not an ordinary commission. It has the power to recommend sanctions, punishments, rewards, and things like that. And it is headed by a justice. And also,
a retired justice.
A retired justice, so to speak. And also the fact that it is the onus of that panel to actually do justice to its job. And that means there shouldn't have been a leak. Because this leak, upon which a lot of comments are being generated now, shouldn't have happened. And it's basically, this leak came from the committee or the panel.
But can you, because of the leaks are more, because of the digitalization across many aspects of many sectors of life nowadays, that has led to many things being prone to being leaked. You see people sharing official information in government on WhatsApp and on social media, and so should the panel be blamed for the leaks?
Yes, the panel, because the responsibility is, the onus is on the panel to ensure that the convening authority, which gave it the mandate, the right to sit on this issue, gets the report first. And then then the issues would have to be looked at by the convening authority, and then decide, at the end of the day, they can decide what to do with the report. But now, the panel by acts of omission or commission, allowed its findings, painstaking findings, as a matter of fact, to be leaked in that manner. So already, you know, as he said, by the time the Lagos State government makes its reports, if what, you know, is already in the public domain is not what the Lagos State government, you know, brings out, then people are going to start raising issues. So that is why ab initio, the panel should have, on the basis of the fact that it has a very, very strong mandate to ensure that that report does not leak in any way. And if there was any leaks, it is the onus also of the members of the panel to say, this is not what we have done. And let's wait for the federal government or the convening authority, in this case, the Lagos State government, to come out with its report. But it appears that ab initio, some persons within the panel actually release the document out before even giving it, before they have even given it to the convening authority. So in other words, the credibility issues have already started happening, and there is a possibility of the reports and the outcome being compromised.
Thank you. I will take you on the credibility issues, you know, specific credibility issues. But let's look at this idea of leak in a little bit detail. The fact that a report has been leaked, does that necessarily invalidate or throw its credibility into question?
Look, we are still carrying this military, security thinking kind of secrecy. Come on, it's a digital world now. You expect our democracy to expect transparency, accountability, openness. This committee sat in the open anyway.
Yes.
Majority of what they later recommended were things that those who were interested enough could have pieced together in the first place. And the leak was said, you are seeing it with typographical errors and things like that. But the way processes work these days, it's going to be futile for you to think that this thing will not come out. It is for you to not have that secret mentality. What are you trying to hide? If something happened, it happened. You didn't make it happen. So why do you want to join the system to hide the things?
Are you saying that it was leaked because someone on the committee or someone around the committee thought that they were trying to hide something?
We don't know, but it's a possibility. Because if you look at the committee, there are all kinds of interests represented, including even the NSAS people themselves.
Yes.
They have someone, at least someone,
yes,
on the committee. You have people who are known to be human rights,
civil society
activists, lawyers, civil society people. And so you expect that there are just people that, in fact, there have been subtle threats that, look, if you don't treat this thing well, we are going to make it available to the public.
So given the membership of the committee, the fact that it drew representation from different sectors of society, at least those ones that were largely involved in the protests, why are you saying that the report has credibility issues, and what sort of credibility issues?
Because in the first instance, this is not the way. This is not the way to present a report to the public. Yes, of course, the people who constituted that panel are people of credible, standing in society, and they were choosing carefully because government, the convening authority, felt that they would do justice to the topic, and doing justice to the topic means that discretion is the better part of value. We're not talking about restricting the information. We're not talking about, hiding information as it happened during the military era. We're talking about ethics here. We're talking about the responsibility, because this issue you're covering, you're handling, concerns institutions of public institutions, concerns lives, concerns the whole gamut of society. So you need to be able to make sure that that responsibility is, your responsibility is not just about finding the causes. It's also about making sure that the process of making sure that the report itself is submitted and the convening authority is appraised of what you've done. And the terms of the report did not say that it has to be leaked. It says you finish your job, give it to the convening authority. By the way, the people who constituted that panel could follow up if the convening authority does not do justice to what they have done. But to leak it before, you know, the convening authority had even digested it, in fact, the whole entire thing was out. Shows that there are persons within the committee who actually want an outcome that is theirs, not the convening authority. Otherwise, they could have gone and done their own stuff and then said, this is what we found. But there is, I mean, it's just a typical example. You asked me to go you sent me to go and buy something for you in the market, and on the way I decided to help myself to what it is. And at the end of the day, I presented to you. Would that not constitute a tainted job?
Yeah,
that is
look as if it's only the committee members that can leak it. I mean, anybody can leak, and it is not the typist can leak it. Anything where they are sharing the file, it might go a wrong way.
So let's
it's
go
not
beyond
the final draft.
Let's go beyond the leak
that was leaked.
Let's go beyond the leak now to the actual contents, specific contents of the report itself, and maybe how these the findings were arrived at, and the recommendations of the report. One of they alleged that 11 people were were killed. Many more were injured, and even 96 bodies could not be found. How does this stand against the position of the federal government that no one has presented evidence that there was what is called Lessi massacre? We don't want to use that term, but we'll come to it later. For now, 11 people were killed, according to the report. But the federal government, even as recently as last month, was claiming that no one was killed, and no one has come forth with any evidence. No people have come to claim that they lost loved ones. Does it mean that the report is contradicting the federal government, or what?
This is 2021.
Yeah.
The world just doesn't work in this high horse fashion again. The fact that your federal government does not give you the right to arrive at a position without evidence. So if somebody comes out with evidence and says, with evidence, this happened, we cannot say, oh, because our big oga has said that it didn't happen. Then it didn't happen. If it didn't happen, show us evidence it didn't happen. If it happened, let the people who say it happened show us evidence. And it does appear that those who said it happened have been showing evidence. They showed live evidence.
So what evidence was?
They showed all kinds of other evidences using modern methods of arriving. I think they showed evidence, and they showed circumstantial evidence, commonsensical evidence. But because people have bigger voice, they say, no, it didn't happen. But they haven't shown us their own evidence that it didn't happen.
So, but for claims of this kind, that Nigerians, especially Nigerian young people, who are protesters, that is, freely expressing their democratic rights to protest, which is guaranteed by our constitution. When that happens, do you say that, what kinds of evidence do you need to sort of determine that they were killed? And did the report follow up with that kind of evidence?
Dr. Suleiman, as I said earlier on, this is a judicial commission, and it has the power of law. In fact, it has so much powers, on it, that it could do quite a lot of things. And for that kind of power that it had, the mandate that it had, the terms of reference that it had, and to return this kind of report, come on.
So what's wrong with the report?
The methodology, you see, I read through the reports, and all it was telling us was they went to mortuaries, they found corpses, and from the corpses they tried to link the corpses to the death or to the alleged massacre that took place at the site at Lekki. But the truth is that they could not tell us the methodology. I mean, this is not this issue is a science-based issue. It's not an issue of emotions or sentiments. There are ways, advanced techniques now of finding out issues. Now, for instance, if you said there was a massacre at the Lekki site, fine, that's a statement, but it must be proved by observable scientific facts. Now, for instance, it has to be based on two key elements: forensic evidence from the site and ballistic evidence. Forensic evidence is that you have to go to the site where the alleged shooting took place to get samples of blood of people who were killed, allegedly killed at that site, to be able to get the samples, and also to be able to get samples of the tissues of those shot. At that site, no matter who tried to clean it just to hide the evidence, these things will be there. A crime scene always contains evidence, no matter what happens. And if you have forensic experts, which I thought the panel should have availed himself.
But the panel did say that they use forensic experts.
Yeah, but did they provide samples of the site? Forensic experts examined the bodies, but they did not bring out samples from the soil. I mean, if there was a killing or killings in that place, definitely there will be blood spilled. And no matter how the soldiers or the army or the police try to clean off this, you are likely to find those substances embedded in the soil there. And that is what could be used to say, link up those the blood samples to those people, the corpses found there. And then again, the ballistic evidence should come from the shell casings of the bullets used there. You take the shell casings and match them with the bullet wounds of the corpses you identify. Then that will give you the ballistic connection between the guns fired, if at all guns were fired, with the wounds that these people incurred. And again, another source, another evidence that should also have been provided is go to the site. It's an open site. There are so many buildings around. If there were shootings, definitely there'll be bullet holes around the site. Because if it's going to be a rapid fire kind of shooting, there's going to be bullet holes at the site.
The lawyer representing the military, during the panel, he said that the military they used blank ammunitions, which he described as having very low velocity, meaning that it cannot harm people unless maybe it is too close and then maybe directed at someone's eyes, and that the gunshots were fired in the air rather than at the protesters down below. So what does that mean to the findings of the committee that 11 people died, many were injured, and even 96 bodies that were unaccounted for?
Let me just before.
No.
Okay, let him.
No. You
all
go
right.
first.
We need to be careful because we haven't really seen the final report. So we need to be careful how we
Which
refer
more
to
report
the
are we
details.
expecting? Since the government of
We only
Lagos
saw
State
a draft which is
already
not
saying
what is
that
in the
has
hands of the
constituted-
government.
If the government has constituted a panel to write a white paper on this report, it means it is the final report. It means there is no further report being expected.
Yes.
Okay.
But their own version will now be official. And that official, until we see that which is official, because the leaked version isn't actually the final draft that the government has. So we don't know whether all these details that he's talking about are in there. But for what we have heard, you find a situation where shootings took place, ambulances were turned back, bodies were taken away, the bullets were picked, the locations were cleaned up by government agencies and things like that. There is an attempt by powerful people, people in authority.
These are claims that need to be proved.
To cover, yes.
These are claims that
to cover up.
The thing is this: sometimes when people speak about this sort of things you are saying now, that bodies were being carted away, that ambulances were turned back and so on, they forget that these same claims are being challenged by the government itself. So if they are being challenged, it means that either side has, requires to provide evidence for their claims so that Nigerians can judge for themselves what really happened. And
but
this
what
is
about
exactly what this
what we were
panel
hearing initially
was meant to do. Yes.
First, the governor said he didn't invite them. Later, they said no, the government invited us. The first, they even said we were not even there. Then we said we shot blank. But now they are saying, oh, they shot this one can go 600 meters,
Yes.
700 meters, all these kinds of these are contradictory, conflicting claims.
Okay.
That we are expecting that the report will put in perspective. And I believe, or I want to assume that they did all that before they came up with the kind of report that they are damn near as it is. Because if a panel of that stature headed by a former chief judge
of Lagos State, yes,
will actually write a report and put the word massacre. You could have described what happened and not described it as massacre. When you say massacre, that's weighty.
We will come to that definition because it is central to this issue. So you wanted to challenge what he had to say.
Yeah, what I wanted to say was that, look, you can't arrive at a conclusion based, especially of this, on a matter of this nature, by circumstantial evidence or circumstantial statements. This is an opportunity to use scientific methods in arriving at an answer, and it's there. We know about archaeological findings and datings, where even people who have died thousands of years ago, by carbon dating, by the modern methods of investigation, you could find actually what happened in that particular area, and then who actually died or whose corpse was this. We have seen situations where, the corpses of kings and rulers were exhumed or were even found by archaeological or modern methods of forensic investigation. This is what I expected this panel to do, because they have the mandate. They can even call foreign experts and say, look, we are not sure of Nigerian forensic. We are not sure of their quality.
Yes.
So we want to do a thorough job, and we want you to give us go to the sites, the Lekki massacre, so-called massacre site, and look at the area and make sure that because no matter, look, I keep saying it, no matter what attempts to clean up the area, there would be blood samples.
Yes.
There would be evidence of blood samples and tissue samples in the area. There are certain things that the naked eye cannot see, but forensic chemistry can bring it about, and you could exhume them and then
confirm evidence,
concrete gilt-edge evidence. But they didn't do that. Then there's also what I call the ballistic. Because wherever, in every scene of a crime or of happenings of this nature, you are likely to find bullet casings, you are likely to find, smoking guns and all kinds of things like that, that would be there. And so all these things are going to constitute vital forensic ballistic evidence to support your claim. What we have is, okay, yes, we went to the mortuary, we got some corpses, and from the bullet wounds they have, we believe that they got from the scene of the shooting. But then, let me tell you, every other day in Lagos, there are bound to be bodies from all kinds of places, of shootings, whatever. And then you now went to, and then let me tell you, why even there's a credibility issue from what we see in the leaked report anyway. Some of the people named are still alive. There's a particular gentleman who was named as being dead. He's alive. He was interviewed just by a newspaper just in June this year, but his name was among the dead. Then there are people whose names do not have a surname. Now, is that a thorough report? Is that the kind of report you would take to a court of law and expect it to be handled, to be accepted? It's supposed to be a thorough job. It's supposed to be a job that is unassailable, unimpeachable, and you can stand on it. You don't just do a wishy-washy, shoddy job like that and expect right-thinking people to accept it just because you are a former judge or something like that. You just have to go across and do the right thing. The methodology must be provable, must be unimpeachable, and in this case, it wasn't done.
This brings us to just about the middle of the program. And for the viewers watching at home, so far, two issues have emerged to be pertinent. The first, of course, is the methodology of the panel, the methodology that the panel have used to determine that ABCD has happened on that day in Lekki. The second, of course, is the extent to what happened, whether or not there was a massacre. But before we go into these issues, we'll take a minute break and come back. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. And today we are discussing, of course, the report of the Lagos State Judicial Panel on the alleged Lekki shooting. You can also follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on YouTube. Now we get down to the second part of the business. I started with you earlier, and ended with him, so maybe I start with him once again. So you were challenging the methodology used by the panel. You feel that to quote you, it's shoddy, that the work was not done. Maybe that's the capacity that is available to the panel now. Maybe they are convinced that being able to do forensic in the mortuary, still links some of the people that were dead to the people who protested.
There's no room for maybes in this job. No room for maybes.
The maybe is coming from me anyway.
Yeah, there's no room for maybes because you see, public institutions are involved, lives of people are involved, properties of people are involved. The entire country itself, is hanging on to this development because there is a lot of issues involved, the civic responsibilities, civil rights of people, human rights of people, a whole gamut of issues are involved here. So it behoves on the committee, on the panel, to do a thorough job. Where they think that they are handicapped or they don't have the capacity, they can call on the capacities, both local and international, and then so as to bring about a thorough job, a job that is near perfect, that is unimpeachable.
Mr. Onifa, did you feel that the panel has done thorough enough a job?
I cannot say that until I see the final report. Okay. Until I see the final report. But you see, it is easy, it's convenient for Nigerians to embark on obfuscation, all kinds of, chasing after the messenger. And rather than the message, looking at the procedure and things like that. But there are larger issues here, some of which he has raised. Issues such as what actually is our attitude to the younger Nigerians who are in a larger majority. Do they have a say in this democratic experiment?
Do they have fair representation?
Do they have fair representation? Should they have a say? Then the impunity that has become the attitude of people who are supposed to be public servants, those who should serve us.
Yes.
They do what they like and they get away with it. Several examples. Why are we in trouble with Boko Haram? It's because some people just felt they could execute a citizen because they thought he was a bad guy. You don't execute somebody because he's a bad guy. The military told us we captured this guy, we arrested him alive, we handed it over to you because you are the one who can investigate further, prosecute. You went ahead, you shot him. That's why we are in trouble in the Northeast. Should we allow such things to go? Because it's been going on for too long. Don't forget, in the 1970s, they went to Fela's house in Kalakuta Republic. They burnt it down. We say unknown soldiers. That was it. Odi, Zaki Bia.
Yes.
Elza Zaki. Then this one again, people just come, they kill people, and they think because they are in uniform. No, we shouldn't run that kind of a society. The military should be subjected to civil authority, and we are the people. The people are the civil authority, not just people in government. So you cannot just maltreat the people and you say because you're that's it.
Your comments raise an interesting point, which is also contained in the report, namely responsibility for what happened. You know, somebody has to bear responsibility and must be seen by Nigerians to bear responsibility for it. I will be speaking on that, but let's touch on this issue of massacre a little. The report did write that, you know, in the context of the events of that day and the superior power used by the military, the shooting of 11 to death, according to the report, of 11 people amounts to a massacre. What's your opinion?
Well, we're still talking about whether it was a massacre or not. And that is why the methodology is very important. Okay. Because, you see, we are banding words around. Just because we want to institute... Look, the entire concept of the NSAS protest was good. Okay. I supported it. Okay. Because we need to have institutional reforms on our police, on our entire security network, architecture of Nigeria. It's not working well. A lot of us have been victims of police, one way or the other, and we believe that that protest was actually the right thing to do, to bring pressure to bear on authorities to ensure that we're in a democracy. We cannot have this kind of 13th century police force or military that doesn't work for us. But look, let's not forget that the focus is on the judicial panel. They were given an opportunity to ensure that these in-betweeners are resolved. Because we need to have a thorough job so that the military knows that it cannot escape censure. The security knows that they cannot escape censure. But if you bring about a report that itself does not do a thorough job, you are also actually helping the military to cover up. And that is why if this goes to a court of law and these issues were found out not to be resolved by the committee, by the panel in its methodology of finding out, then the whole thing about massacre. Because first of all, if you talk about 11 persons dying, and then some of the people you identified as dead are still alive, then some people you couldn't properly identify their surnames. For God's sake, how do you expect? You need to do a thorough job. And if you know that you don't have the capacity, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that what is worth doing well, so that by the day nobody will question. If we can catch the police and soldiers red-handed, if we have a smoking gun, no matter how much it is going to cost us to make sure that we ensure that yes, we situate them with the crime that we have alleged them to have committed, is good. But it's not enough to provide circumstantial evidence and say, well, this is it because they are bad guys. Yes, no, we need to be able to prove that they are bad guys. And that is why the methodology of actually proving that it's a massacre is proper. So that we can say, yes, indeed, we have taken all the angles. And there's a science-based procedure that can verify. Because I'm afraid if this goes to a court of law, it will be thrown out. Because there is no evidence to support that, yes, the corpses. And in any case...
But the head of the panel is a lawyer. She's a judge. She must know what will be thrown out or not.
How can she justify the fact that one of the people you named as being dead, as a deceased, on that list is alive? How can you justify that 2 or 3 of the persons you name as being dead don't have surnames? What kind of a shoddy job is that?
Yeah, you haven't seen the final copy. You didn't see the copy they handed to
my thinking would be that even a tentative, even a draft report shouldn't have problems such as not having surname. That would be my thinking. But my opinion doesn't really count as such. This takes us to something, a small detail in the report. They wrote that Stephanie Busari, the CNN reporter, who shortly afterwards actually tried to provide some journalistic reporting and evidence that there was indeed a massacre at Lekki Tollgate that very day. She was invited to come and give evidence to the panel. She didn't appear. What does that say to the panel and its findings?
Are you supposed to be dragged before a panel for your journalistic work?
Okay. No, to come and give evidence that something happened.
You have filed your
because
report.
She had already told the world.
Let them, what you know is already in your report. Why are you supposed to be hounded before judges?
Nobody hounded her.
If every reporter is dragged to court on account of stories they wrote, how will journalism be? You know, when I was a reporter with NTA, Tony Radia was I think was the executive director news at that time. There was a story that I did. Somebody sued NTA and then I think joined me. I mean, the headquarters was in Lagos then. So the lawyers were coming from Lagos and they took me along. We got to Abuja, Tony Radia saw me and said, "What are you doing here?" They said I should come to court. He said, "Go back to Lagos." How many reporters are you going to drag before a judge? She's written her report. Dispute her report.
So
if you want to, use her report if the elements are useful to your report. For Christ's sake, hounding a reporter before.
You are going to say something about
She was not hounded. She made a report on something she purportedly saw. And the panel...
Journalism is based on facts.
Yeah, based on facts.
But she's filed her report.
Yeah, she filed her report. And
do you have a problem with her report?
Then it's an open committee. It's an open panel. Nobody is going to put her to jail. What they say, okay, madam, you have made useful presentation on what you saw. And we're looking to fill gaps in some of these things. Please come and tell us, you know, come and give us the benefit of your... She may not give them totally what she said, but she made telling, compelling allegations. And so please come and tell us. Even we can even arrange for you to see us in camera, so as to so as to protect their sources. But she refused to come, and she's a material witness. She wants us to believe what she said, but she doesn't want to prove it. Who has ever arrested a journalist? A lot of people were invited to come and give their testimony to the panel, and they came. Nobody hounded them. Nobody forced them. Some refused to go. Nobody hounded them. She was a material witness, at least from the point of view of the fact that she provided this report that was carried by her paper, by her medium. So it's just a matter of, look, we're in trouble here. We want to really unravel the cause of this case. Can you come and provide us? She can even say, look, she can even give conditions for being there. And then these conditions can be taken. But she didn't even come. It's contempt of Nigerians, because you can't put up a report of this nature and you can't even stand by it.
No, if you need to invite her media house, you can invite her media house.
But she could send the invitation to the media house.
If the media house says, okay, you go represent us. She didn't publish the story in her personal capacity.
Certainly not.
And the stories were out there in the public.
But CNN was given the opportunity to come.
Whatever you need to use in that report, it's there out in the public.
But in the invitation, her organization was also mentioned.
So
Stephanie Busari, CNN. So that means...
No, if you need CNN to appear before you, write to CNN. If CNN now wants Stephanie Busari to represent it, it's a different thing. But if you sue Trust now, it is not... If someone sues Trust on account of what you did, it's Trust lawyer that will go to court, not you.
But there was no representation from CNN, not even a lawyer, not even anybody from CNN. And the report was carried by CNN. So CNN has vicarious responsibility to be able to represent itself.
Which means...
Yeah. are there. Otherwise, they shouldn't have carried it, because as they carried it, they owe it a responsibility to either stand by that story or not, and they stood by that story. So come and explain. It's a simple matter. There is no need for sophistry about it. Just go and say, this is what I knew, and that is it. Even if you wanted it done in secret, in camera, fine. But you didn't go. And then you expect us to now take what you said, hooks, line, and sinker, because you are CNN? Come on.
So
we have
the
a great
people
matter here.
that you put uniform on, they were invited. They
The
didn't
Nigerian,
go.
I was going there exactly, but carry on, please, go on.
So if public officers who are paid by the public, they are invited by public institution, they say no, we are not coming. Then it's a journalist you are going to be. No, her report, everything she knows about that situation has been contained in her report. So take the report, use the elements whichever way you want to. She's an observer, not a participant.
I think he's not being truthful.
Okay.
Why do you think so? The military Brigadier General Ahmed Taiwo came out and made his and issued statement.
He represented the military.
And then there was also a military man on the panel.
Yes.
So the issue of, and in any case, whether the military accepted the invitation
the
or
report
not.
also did say that they didn't have some significant cooperation from the panel. I mean, from the military. The report noted that.
That is understood. That is understood. But that does not stop the CNN from saying, no, we won't come. Because everybody must carry his own cross.
Okay.
They did a report on Nigeria, which they believe was the right thing. Okay, come and provide. If the military didn't, well, of course, we know what to do. But the issue is that they didn't come. They didn't come to shed light on on their findings, and then allowing us to take it like that. That's arrogant. That's actually tendentious. Because if they really respected Nigeria, they should come and say, look, this is what we found.
How can they respect Nigeria if Nigerian institutions don't respect Nigeria?
Yes, but they have to do their job. I mean, the fact that, look, as I said, you come and carry your cross.
Okay.
They didn't do it. They didn't write the report because the Nigerian military, they were out actually to prove the Nigerian military wrong. Okay. So they should have an opportunity to come and prove the Nigerian military wrong and say, yes, on that day, this is, and this, we want to corroborate this and this and this and that. But they didn't do it. So why should you base your own appearance or non-appearance on whether the military attended or not? Go and answer your question. That's all, and then move. If the military doesn't do it,
what about every fact they have? That they are privy to, that they are willing to release, is already inside their report. What do you need them for again?
Okay,
the report is
okay. Let's not get bogged down on Stephanie Bisari. What about the Lagos concession company, the owners of the toll gate? They appeared several times in the report. Says that they were invited and they appeared several times, and yet the report still says that they did not, cooperate fully in terms of releasing evidence, and even accused the LCC, the Lagos Concession Company, of manipulating some of the CCTV video evidence of what happened that day. What does that say about the outcome of the report?
Well, I mean, if that's what they found, they just stated what they found. If somebody tampered with video, there must be a motive for tampering with the video. What is that? What are they trying to cover? What are they trying to cover up? I mean, these are elementary things. How do you go? Something became that much of a big problem, and you think the best thing for you to be doing is now to go and be tampering with video. I mean, if we are a very serious society,
making an accusation. That's the panel making an accusation. It's not like it should be taken as given that the LCC did in fact tamper with.
Suleiman,
yes.
The panel itself is under the pedestal. It's not a panel because it, as I said earlier, it has the honors to come out clean. It's not for it to accuse other people of not cooperating, and then at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, we must subject the panel and the findings to invest further investigations, and they must not say because they are former judges, or because they must not say they have the wisdom, and then we cannot challenge them. We have to challenge them, and this is there is a basis to challenge their findings. Of course, it's a leak. It's not the final report, but we are taking advantage of what we call journalistic license and privilege to discuss what is on the public domain. And if this is what the panel has brought out, then they must also stay on the pedestal and answer questions from us about things, because they don't have the final wisdom on the matter. And some of us have found reason to punch holes in what their findings. And these are issues that should be, subjected to international best practices. You go to The Hague and you put out this kind of thing, they'll ask questions. Forensic evidence, ballistics evidence, in the case of the massacres that took place in Bosnia, in Serbia, and other places, were part of the key elements, key evidence to convict people. You can't do that. You can't just sit down and put out circumstantial evidence and say this is it, and then expect not people to ask you questions or put you on the pedestal. That's why we're putting the panel on the pedestal. There's a critical gap in methodology, which we are now putting out, and we say, look, if you think that this is what was the methodology? Did you do any forensic test? You have to go to the site itself where the massacre took place. The football match took place in the Onikon Stadium.
The report did say that they went to the site.
Yeah, but did they do forensic evidence? They did forensic tests there? That's the question. There was no evidence that there was a forensic. The forensic test they did was on the bodies, not on the site.
In the mortuary.
Yeah, not on the site. That is where you get the samples of the soil, the samples of whatever it is that happened. And no matter how any attempt to clean up that place, it will still be embedded there. The same thing with the tissues, the body tissues of the people shot, and the same thing with the ballistics. There are certain elements that cannot be erased. This is the critical area that was lacking in the report. So their findings are still not yet admissible unless these areas are addressed.
This is a discussion that we would like to go further on, but unfortunately we're coming to the very end of the program. So, but just some time for each of us to say one thing.
Okay.
Mr. Onifade, where does this leave us?
I hope this time around it leaves us at a point of progress, because we have practiced impunity for too long in this country. Fela's house was burnt by unknown soldiers. Zaki Biam, Odi. Only recently, Zaki people said they came, they killed many of us and things like that. We still haven't done anything about it. Way back, was it 80s or 90s? I think it's Air Force people. They harassed the family of late MK Abiola at that time. What was the response of the Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff at that time? He said, Chief, we are mad dogs. Now, they are still carrying all this mad dog mentality. That's
into a democracy.
What they are into a democracy. It behoves us now as a people to say no. The type of military that we want will be the military of officers and gentlemen. We no longer want mad dog military. And if this is the opportunity for us to prove this to them, we need to do that.
To seize it.
And again, even animals don't treat their children the way we are treating this issue.
Okay.
We say, they've been there, they were there for 2 weeks peacefully until agents of state, we saw the video of these things, introduced violence, and then on and on and on and on like that until we now went there to kill them, as the report is saying. So who kills his own children to prove that he is strong?
Over to you. Where does this leave us, this report and the aftermath of it, and especially to the significance of the weighty issues which both of you could agree on about NSAS?
Our point of convergence is really we need to have a security forces that are under the control of the civilian democratic dispensation. And of course, the military, the security forces, the police have not, have not proved themselves in this category, in this particular area. And that is why the essence of the NSAS, I think the bedrock of it, everybody understands it, everybody supports it. And then, what we are saying now, that if we want to move from this kind of situation to the next situation, which is this, we need to be dispassionate about it. We need to be able to say, look, we have an opportunity to redirect, to right the wrongs. Now, he talks about OD, he talks about Zaki-Bem, he talks about El Zaki. These are areas, these are massacres that took place, and we knew it. There was evidence. The military itself could not, could not deny. And if they denied, there were telltale, independent observers and evidence to say, yes, it happened. All they said was, of course, the usual thing. But they were caught red-handed. There was a smoking gun. In this particular case, we don't have a smoking gun. And I'm particularly concerned that when we go out there to bring out reports like this, when we have opportunities to do this, we have to do everything thoroughly, research through it, see how it was done in other parts of the world where such massacres took place, and then look at the techniques they used to arrive at, really determine that it was a massacre, so that we can move forward and then punish the culprits.
We got to go.
Yeah. So that's the way it is. Otherwise, we just be using sentiments and the politics of the whole thing, and we don't even get the results that we want, and that would be a tragedy for us.
I think we can agree on the point of convergence between the guest, that going forward, the Nigerian military forces and security forces need to respect the lives of every Nigerian in whatever context. And I think in that marks us, brings us to the end of this program. Thank you for staying with us, and do join us again same time tomorrow for another episode of Daily Politics. I am Suleiman Suleiman. Enjoy your day.